Good evening. This is the Town of Winchester Zoning Board of Appeals. Let me do that, sorry.
No, that's okay. Just got turned on the side.
I'll let you start that. We'll start again.
You are good.
Good evening. This is the Town of Winchester Zoning Board of Appeals regular meeting for June 27th, 2023, called to order at 7:01 p.m. It is being held in the Francis Hicks Room at the Town Hall at 338 Main Street and being broadcast on YouTube TV. Tonight, our members are myself, Paul Marino, member John Pollack, member Aubrey English, member Ron Dew. Member Ellie Gunn is absent, excused, and for the purposes of tonight's meeting, we will seat alternate member Paul Mitchell. The approvals from Zoning Board of Appeals require 4 affirmative votes from the 5 seated members. A simple majority of 3 is not enough. You have to have 4 of the 5. The way we do this is I will call up each application and you'll have an opportunity to come up and explain to the board what your application is about and the details of it. The board will likely have questions. Once the board's had a chance to ask any questions and understand what the purpose of your application is, we will then open it up to anyone from the public that would like to speak to your application. And then once the public portion of the hearing is complete, we'll close the public hearing, and then we will, you'll have an opportunity for the last word, and we will close that part of the hearing, and we will make a decision. The board will likely discuss it, take a vote, and you will have a decision this evening. And with that, prior to calling our first application, the board is going to adjourn to the Blue Room for executive session with our town attorney, Kevin Mulligan. So at this time, we'll head over to the Blue Room and we'll return shortly. Shut this off now, or bring it with us?
You can bring it with us.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. As we don't do this very often, we have a procedural item that we need to take care of first. In order for the board to go into executive session, we need to have a motion for that. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. Procedural is correct, and now we'll retire to the Blue Room.
Don't go away.
I won't feel so bad if I make a mistake. That's kind of funny, huh? Jim Johnson's in this kind of murder suicide.
Did you turn it back on? You did. All right, if I can have a motion to leave executive session and come back to the public hearing part of our meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And we are back in session at 7:26 PM. And we will call our first application, which is application ZBA 23-5327, a variance request in response to the building abatement order at 182 Shore Drive. Owners are Valerie and Shane Sugarak. Proposal modification for a second floor as living space, permit as year-round residence, modification to permit basement space as living space. Are you the Sugaraks? Yes. Come on up if you would. And once you get settled, if you would please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Valerie Sugarak. I live at 182 Shore Drive, Winston.
Shane Sugarak, and I live at 182 Shore Drive in Winston.
Okay, and Lance, do we have all the proper mailings and signs?
You do. Yep.
Okay.
I went out and I believe I put the sign on your yard and we received the butter notification.
Very good. Tell us about your application.
Pretty much what we're trying to do is rectify what's been done prior to us owning the property.
When did you buy it?
We bought it in October of last year.
October of '22?
Yeah. October 30th, to be exact, was the closing.
Curious, were you aware of all of the previous attempts to?
We were aware, well, after we signed the contract to purchase it, and then we were made aware of the hearing. And the hearing was actually 3 days prior to the closing. So we just went forward because we already had contract. The property was listed, and that's how you guys became aware of what was going on, I guess.
Were you represented by counsel when you bought the house?
No, we were not, but the owners that had it before us, the prior owners, they had actually filed the same exact application with you folks back in September, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was on, I have it written down, September 16th. You guys had notified them in June. She had listed the property. The prior owner was the realtor that had listed the property. And you folks had become aware of the listing because I guess on the listing it listed the square footage and it didn't agree with the town records or the variance that was on the property. So they had an attorney, Attorney Beneshi, and he was doing their application representing them. And then after we had closed, he was going to represent us, and he said he was pretty confident he could contact the town and have them just transfer the application that was already in existence to our name. But then he notified us and said he couldn't, and we had to start the whole process over again. We had to refile, and then he was gonna represent us. We retained him, and then he contacted us to let us know, I wanna say in November, no, I'm sorry. It was just before I filed the application again. He notified us to let us know that he had a job offer that he couldn't refuse, and he was gonna close his practice and take the other offer, so he no longer has practice. And so here we are.
So here we are.
Yeah.
And obviously you're looking to modify the old variance. You have living space on the second floor
Yeah.
that is currently being used.
Yeah, and I believe all of that work, from what I see, was done by the owner prior to the people we even bought the house from. It was somebody named Zuccarelli, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I guess they tried to get it done, and then they just went about and did it without getting permits or whatever they needed, so now we're here trying to,
We were also told that with all the new laws, this should be able to get passed. And that,
Are you full-time residents there, or is this a summer home?
are.
You're full-time
We
residents?
are.
Interesting. So you, an interesting case you bought in this property.
It's a way of life for us.
well, we sold our house and we had to find somewhere, so.
Yeah, it's a beautiful home.
Any questions from the board? I think most of the applications in the paperwork that we've received and the history, certainly. But any questions?
The only thing I'm looking at that I see different is the application says 1,026 square feet, it's 1,500. Which is what the real estate listing.
Well, I guess
said
the first,
as well.
tell us about the basement living space. Is that basement finished?
Well, not all
Partial.
the way, it's partially finished. It's like almost half of it is like the utility room and it's all unfinished, and then the other half is somewhat finished. There is an issue with all the square footage, that whole issue, because I mean, to be honest, I'm looking through all these documents and nothing, like, they're saying it's supposed to be a certain square footage, we're being taxed on yet a different amount, so the square footage is all over the place. The upstairs is fully done over, and then the main floor is fully done over. The downstairs, it's partially finished.
Okay.
You guys should have pictures of it.
Yes, we
from
have
last
the
time,
pictures
so.
here, yeah.
Could you just tell me, it says, is there an easement or a right-of-way granted to this property, and you have a yes, CLMP has a blanket easement? Would you know what that is, or could you?
And I know I should have brought that. When we had the title search done, when we did the closing, I guess there's an easement, a pipe or something for the town, or for the electric, you might know better.
There was nothing, they just, they had the sewer go through the front, the CLMP said, they said there wasn't anything really we had to worry about.
Okay.
I don't,
I don't see anything on the survey
we
here
were
talking
told that
about
it was
that.
old, and then.
Do you know what the location on the property, where that's supposed to be?
No, we don't even know that.
Is it the, I mean, there's a standard easement along the road. It's not that, is it?
That's
So it might
what,
be.
what it might be. You know, it was in the records, but there's really nothing stating that, you know, I don't know why they would have to access any of our property anyway, because there's nothing behind us other than the lake.
So your application requests 1,026 square feet. And as we look at potentially this modification, that would be what you requested. So if I understand that correctly, that would be the first and second floor. That would not be inclusive of the basement. Is that correct?
No, that would, because you gotta remember, probably a third of that house is to stairways, so it's not living space, correct?
It's classified as square footage.
Even if it's the stairs, you can't live
Correct,
in it?
yes.
What about closets?
Square footage. I'm a retired building
Well, I'm just
inspector.
asking, because that just
So-
isn't what I do, but.
Outside dimensions
Right,
determines your square footage.
outside dimensions, and yeah, that's 1,500 square feet by what they originally applied for.
Right.
But we weren't the ones that said the square footage on us, we didn't,
No, I'm
You
not
know what I'm
saying that. All I'm simply saying is that's where you get your square footage. That doesn't include closets and stairways. That's all part of the square footage,
So-
interior space.
Let me ask you this. Do you know, let's talk about, because you said the basement's only partially finished. Let's take the basement out of the equation for a minute. Do you know what the square footage is for the first and second floors?
it would have to be 1,000 square feet then. Originally, they approved the 1,500 square foot building. So if you divide that into 3 floors, you got 500, 500, and 500.
Yeah, 'cause it is just a square. That's all it
I mean,
is.
that's what I would believe.
Well, original variance was for 500 square feet, which was the first floor only.
Right,
That's what was approved. That's why you're here tonight. Right now, you have a variance that your property is under that says you can have a 500 square foot cottage,
right,
and that the upstairs isn't supposed to be finished.
right.
So that's what that's why we're all here tonight. but what you've asked for is 1,026, and I'm just cautioning you that that would be the first and second floors and really would exclude the basement space.
We just went off what the attorney had put up prior. You understand the stuff that they forwarded to us. If we have to apply for 1,500 square feet, then we would have to,
Where does that say? Where
I've
does it
seen it
say that
somewhere.
1,000?
Well, right on your application, proposed use of premises would be year-round residence and 1,026 square feet of living space. That's what you've asked for.
I see it.
That's what you've asked for tonight.
Yeah. It says 1026 plus or minus.
now where did that come from? That came from
That's
the attorney
Beneshi.
Beneshi.
I mean, if you have any, it would seem to me that if you want to modify the square footage
We should do that.
that's in the application, I would think you'd want to do that now, then
But having to be back here
you'd,
again.
you could potentially be back again, yes.
But we can't modify it now, we'd have to start the whole process again and change that.
Lance,
right?
what's the, can we modify this application?
Yeah. You can make that determination now.
So we could modify this to 1,500 square feet,
Yes.
which would be inclusive then of the basement, am I correct? Yes, okay.
Could you
Does the
make it
basement
less
have to be
technically too?
finished?
Well, it would permit them to finish it,
Yes.
John. We'd give them,
Okay.
in this variance modification, we would change the 1,026 to 1,500 square feet, and then they would be able to
Right.
theoretically finish the basement.
Wanna do some of that? Let's see.
So we can make that change tonight.
Thank you. Okay, so we were just going by what the attorney had forwarded to us.
Okay. Based on a plan, the building layout is 513 square feet per floor. That's where that 1,026 comes
Yeah,
in,
that makes sense.
Right. So now we want 1,539.
1,539.
Okay.
Let's do it one time.
Thank you.
Let's get it right.
Yes, so that you don't have to go through this again. Even though it's a lot of fun, right?
You should just need me today writing the notes, I got everything in different colors and.
So the week,
You did too? Yeah.
Does anybody have any further questions for the applicant? And seeing that we have no one here from the public to speak on this application, you will have the final words.
You want to say anything?
Okay.
No.
So at this point, we'll close the public hearing. And we will have a chance to discuss this among the board. I've got to make a note here on the actual motion, so just give me a second to do that. Okay, I'm gonna make the motion on the application, and then we'll open it up to any board discussion. Motion to grant a variance from section 2.g.b.ii of the zoning regulations for application ZBA number 23-5327 for uses in the Highland Lake zoning district. Change in use from seasonal cottage to single-family residence use. Increase in maximum allowed square footage of dwelling from 500 square feet to 1,539 square feet of living space. Such increase constitutes an expansion of living area onto the second floor and basement of the dwelling as per the drawings submitted for the property located at 182 Shore Drive. This modification would be subject to satisfying all applicable building codes as required by the town of Winchester, Connecticut. We don't know, well, that's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion from the board?
How about like for the utilities that we have in the basement, we're gonna lose square footage there, right?
Well, the square footage will be inclusive of the utility area. They have the total of 1,539
Yes.
square feet in the building.
Right.
And that would include the utility area.
Okay, but
All
that's not gonna
closets,
be
staircases,
right, but
all of
that's not
those
gonna be
things.
living space though.
Well, yes, we're granting perhaps a little bit more than they need,
Right.
but, I mean, if they ever didn't have utility room, they could change it into living space. Any other discussion? Then we will put it to a vote. All in favor of approving this modification of the variance signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Lance, you'll send out notification and you'll need to get in touch with the building department for,
Give me my card.
you'll need to permit, I
Phil
think the,
Petroface will be in touch with you.
yeah.
Okay.
And we'll remove that violation.
We don't know what the permitting requires that you'll need, but you'll have to go through the inspections and what have you, so.
So
That's
do
fine.
they just come and they look, and then whatever's not already on the town records, we do the permit and have to get the permit to?
Correct.
Okay. So
And we
'cause I
did
have no
discuss-
idea what any of that costs for them to do that.
Honestly, it's a little bit beyond me as well, so that'll definitely be a bill, but, they'll have to make some decisions on egress and windows, make sure the safety issues are all addressed.
Yeah. Okay.
But
And
it'll,
they'll call us to us,
Yeah.
or I call you?
you should call us, and Shane, who's our new land coordinator, she'll coordinate with you for bill.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, thank you.
You guys have a good night.
Have a great night.
Wish you well, folks.
Another attorney that actually said he was gonna reach out to you, and then we were emailing back and forth.
Yeah, that's back when, yeah, I spoke to him once or twice, but, that's why I met with the applicant that, the second.
Katie and Mr. Joe, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, he's a good guy, I'm glad he sounds pretty happy about whatever new ventures he's doing. He's a
Yeah.
really nice person,
Yeah.
so from what I've met him.
Yeah, well, good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Welcome.
Have a great night. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, a motion to approve the minutes from May 23rd. Is there any changes of fact on the minutes? A motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any correspondence, Lance, for the
None.
board?
Nope.
Okay. Then on that note, can we have an motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Where's that form we're supposed to sign?
Oh, you mean the motion?
The motion, yeah, that one.
It's right here. There you go. I just noted the 1539 and the